Salut tout le monde, donc je suis ici à Los Angeles, donc dans l'académie de Jean-Jacques Machado avec Eddie Bravo, donc pour une interview exclusive. Thank you very much, Eddie, for this interview for globalmma.com.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So Eddie, you have something important soon at the Metamoris 3, the rematch with Roller Gracie. Can you tell us about this fight?
It's a rematch from our 2003 match where I triangled him. So this is kind of a match for me to prove that it wasn't a fluke, and for him a chance at redemption.
What happened at this fight? Can you tell us about your submission and what happened at this moment?
Yeah, in the first match, I ended up getting him in a triangle after I was down on points. I think I was down 6-2. There was about a minute left, and I got him with a triangle. Pulled it out of my ass.
Yeah. So after this fight, you retired. That's right. You stopped competing.
I didn't retire right after. No, I was planning on competing in 2005, Abu Dhabi, but I got hurt, and so did he. We were going to have a rematch there, and if we ended up meeting each other, but we both got hurt, both had a bout, and then I had another match set for a super fight set against Pajumpina in Florida. I was training for that after I healed up from my injury in Abu Dhabi, and then a storm hit, Katrina hit, the big Katrina, and then it got canceled, so because Florida was devastated. So then after that, I'm 35 years old at that point, and this was 2.5 years after I tapped out Royler. So I didn't retire immediately after. It was 2.5 years later, and I didn't really retire. I thought, I thought I had a choice. Do I still focus on competing, or do I focus on building a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu Association for my security, for my future, and always be willing to fight Royler if he wanted to do a rematch? That was the plan, was build as many schools as I could, focus on my future, focus on security, focus on teaching my style, focus on building 10th Planet, and at the same time wait for Royler for the rematch. And everything turned out perfectly, because here we are 10 years later. I got 45 schools, and this is probably one of the biggest jiu-jitsu matches of all time, you know, as far as in the States is concerned, you know, so everything worked out perfectly.
What is the main concept of the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu?
The main concept is making jiu-jitsu as effective in MMA as possible. That's the #1 concept, but obviously most of my students don't do MMA, and they do regular no-gi grappling, so that's a big part of it as well. And but we don't train in the gi. Some of my affiliates do have gi programs, but 10th Planet is mainly a no-gi style. Its aim is making jiu-jitsu effective in MMA, more effective.
Did you think about doing a fight, an MMA fight in your career?
I would have done MMA if it was the last resort. Like if I didn't tap out Royler, I probably would have done MMA reluctantly, not wanting to, but only doing it because I didn't want a regular job. I would have been forced into it. I wouldn't have been one of those guys, you know. But luckily that happened, and I was able to open up a school and make some money and just live off jiu-jitsu where I didn't have to do MMA. So thank God.
How do you, Eddie, have the inspiration to create new techniques such as the famous twister, electric chair, everything?
Well, I didn't invent the twister. That's an old wrestling move. But when techniques do come up, they're just randomly, and there's no plan, and they just come up and they just pop out. And
some of your students are MMA fighter. Can you tell us some of these names?
Man, whew. Alan Juban is one of my top guys. He's a brown belt of mine. He's pretty close to getting to that UFC level. He fights for RFA, and we got so many guys. Tommy Gavin, Kira Batara, Christy Lopez, too many to name.
Yeah, you train already Ronda Rousey, that's right?
I worked with Ronda Rousey before. She's not a student of mine, but I have worked with her several times.
Yeah, and also Chan Jun Sung, who is famous with the twister against. It was against
Leonard Garcia.
Leonard Garcia, yeah.
Yeah, he learned that from a YouTube video of mine. So I've never actually worked with him personally, one-on-one, but yeah, there's a lot of fighters out there that have learned 10th Planet techniques just through videos, and I have DVDs out and books, so you don't have to necessarily learn directly from me to learn the rubber guard and the twister and all that stuff.
How do you prepare for your fight with Royler?
Jean-Jacques Machado. He's getting me prepared, you know, and he's doing a great job at breaking down everything Royler does. Been studying a lot of tape, and then just, you know, increasing my defense, and just I've never been as ready as I am right now. Everything is perfect.
That's really good. So we are really impatient to see your fight with Roller at Metamoris 3. Thank you very much, Eddie, for this interview for GlobalMMA.com.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.